Oh, so Nearby Brad. I've asked this question before, but what's your favourite dinosaur?
I think last time I said it was the Pachycephalosaur.
Because it's fun to say.
Yeah, it's also it's the one that's got the dome on its head.
Yeah.
But what else do I like? What have we got a soft spot for?
I
like aquatic ones.
Yeah, like the big weird
there's the Mesosaur.
The one that gets all the play in the new Jurassic World movies.
The only thing that makes like Typhoon worth watching is that one dinosaur's like, yeah, fuck you.
Let's go. Have you seen they're releasing a sequel to that movie, The Meg?
Yeah, The Meg 2.
Yeah,
oh,
and
have you seen the trailer?
He's got dinosaurs in it. It's yeah.
I want cinema needs to just give up being realistic. Like Fast and Furious knows. Fast and Furious knows that people watch their films because they're over the top, exciting, amazing shit.
Never forget the first Fast and Furious movie has them stealing DVD players.
Yes.
They're stealing DVD players with shotguns.
And now they've gone to space.
Yeah.
They're going to have dinosaurs. They've got to have dinosaurs.
Yeah, The Rock turns into an earthbender in one of the things. No, it's Vin Diesel.
No, Vin Diesel, yeah.
Yeah, he becomes an earthbender in like one of the things, like he destroys an entire car park by stomping on it.
Genuinely, I genuinely think the Furious franchise is one of the best franchises
It is.
of all time.
I was talking about this the other day, oddly enough, on a date. I was just because
Let me guess, there wasn't a second date.
No. It's because we were into, and there was the Fast and Furious car was there. There was like they were doing a promotional thing, and I was talking about how Fast and the Furious is one of the most successful franchises of all time. And if you ignore like the Marvel movies, it's basically one of the most successful ever made.
Yeah.
Both in terms of box office gross and just consistency. Because can you think, like audience at home, of any movie franchise that is over 5 movies long, and the Fast and Furious franchise is like 10 movies long now, where they have a cohesive vision all the way through, do not reboot it, they get better and make more money every time, and keep the same core group of actors with some obvious caveats. You can't, can you?
No,
Except for Marvel. Like, it is a runaway. It is an absolute, just astonishing success. Also, I'm drinking this giant bottle of water because Yorkshire water has got literal human shit in it, and I can't drink my tap water. Cheers.
Allegedly. You don't have an official reason.
I don't know, but we do have all those stories about Yorkshire water bosses apologising for dumping human sewage into the waterways. I can put 2 and 2 together. Dennis Nedry is arguably one of the most unlikable characters in the original Jurassic Park movie. Because he releases all the dinosaurs and gets everybody killed, but that's kind of a shame. So they followed the plot laid out in the Jurassic Park novel. Yes, it was a novel first, it's pretty good. You'd have been rooting for Dennis the entire time, because he's just a guy who wants to get paid. And it's a message that I feel, because I wrote this article like 5 years ago, it's only gotten more relevant. Of just a guy who wants to get paid, because let's just talk about Dennis Nedry as he is in the film. Yeah. What do you remember about Dennis Nedry's character?
So the way he's portrayed in the film, you're immediately not supposed to like him because he's been an ass to the
John
guy.
Hammond.
I meant the guy that he's doing business with.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the one who turns into who is it in Apple? Steve Jobs, and ends up becoming like a big part of the later films.
Yeah.
He's been an ass to that guy.
Dodson, we've got Dodson here. See, nobody cares. Nice hat. You're trying to look like a secret agent.
And then when he gets back to the office, he's being asked then. His screensaver after he's fucked everything up is just...
Yeah. You're going to get eaten by a dinosaur.
You didn't say the magic word.
Please!
And even when the fucking Dilophosaur's there, he's being an ass. So
yeah, he's a dick to the dinosaur.
Yeah, every single part of his whole character is meant to make you not like him.
Yeah, he is...
He's the villain.
But yeah, if it's like the dinosaurs and him. So the dinosaurs are just animals, they're just acting on instinct. Dennis Nedry purposely fucks everybody over for money. And there's a few subtle details in that film that are holdovers from the original novel, in which John Hammond is the bad guy. The bad guy of Jurassic Park, the novel, is John Hammond.
Who in God's name do you think you are?
John Hammond. And I'm delighted to meet you finally in person, Dr. Grant.
Yeah.
And if you're wondering, wait, what? He's the bad guy? It's like, yeah, he's a con man. And he talks about, in the novel, and I think the film as well, when he made a flea circus. He talks about a flea circus, and he compares Jurassic Park to a flea circus.
The first attraction I ever built when I came down from Scotland. The flea circus. Petticoat Lane.
Really?
And that's a pretty bit of not so subtle foreshadowing that the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park aren't real dinosaurs.
Yeah, there's the theory going around that they're not dinosaurs, they're just cobbled together from other animals to look like dinosaurs.
Yeah, it's not even a theory, they pretty much confirm it in the later movies, like when they say, oh, there was no viable DNA, we had to cobble shit together, like Dr. Wu say, don't you?
Nothing in Jurassic World is natural.
Like we had to cobble together from what we had. It's why the dinosaurs ended up breeding, because they give them like frog DNA and stuff like that, didn't they? And they just had to put in what worked. And people don't get what I'm talking about here. A flea circus was a thing they had a couple hundred years ago where, say, oh look, the fleas are in a circus. If you look really carefully, you'll see the fleas like on the trapeze and stuff like that, and they were complete horseshit. The fleas weren't doing it. There were no fleas.
This is a real live flea circus, and you can see this one pulling along this tiny chariot. There are very few circuses like this these days.
They were just like, the trapeze was just like, on a timer or something like that. But because you were told to see the fleas, you'd see the fleas. And John Hammond talking about making a flea circus and then talking about Jurassic Park is like, you're not seeing real dinosaurs. I'm telling you they're dinosaurs. You believe that they're dinosaurs. And that's why he invites a world-renowned dinosaur expert to his park to get the seal of approval. Because if he can fool Alan Grant into saying, well, these are real dinosaurs, he can fool the general public.
So do you think the whole DNA and amber thing is horseshit then? Do you think there is no dinosaur DNA?
Well, there's a few hints to the fact that John Hammond is full of shit throughout the movie. Like, there's the flea circus bit. There's also the part where he says, I'm here for the birth of every dinosaur. And it's like, you're clearly not. Like, you're obviously not. Or like when he says, like, well, this is the story we're going to give. And like, he has, like, the Mr. DNA, where he interacts with it. And it's like, clearly he's not going to do that for every tour. He's doing it for them. He's putting on a performance for them.
Well, let me show you. First, I'll need a drop of blood. Your blood.
Right. Oh, John, that hurt.
And it's subtle, but it is there. And then you have his most famous quote. What is it?
I've spared no expense.
He always says it, I spared no expense. What is his chief argument with Nedry?
Well, you mean he's not giving him any money?
He's not paying him enough, yeah. Because he says to, like you say, I spared no expense. And then you find out the reason Nedry got hired to do the job is because he was the lowest bidder.
Because if you can, I'd love to see him try.
Sorry about your financial problems, Dennis. I really am, but they are your problems.
Oh, you're right, John. You're absolutely right. Everything's my problem.
I will not get drawn into another financial debate with you, Dennis. I own an island.
Doesn't really sound like he's spared no expense. And that's, again, something that's more prevalent in the original novel, where John Hammond cuts corners at every opportunity, and that's why the dinosaurs escape, because he builds it as cheaply as possible as a scam.
I've seen so many like YouTubers or videos or people, I mean CinemaSins probably did it, where they like, why would you only have one guy on security for your entire park? It's that's the point.
They explain it where Nedry says, could anyone else have done the job for the price that I quoted? On their own. Which means John Hammond hired the cheapest guy to do it and is underpaying the shit out of him.
You think that kind of automation is easy? Or cheap? You know anybody who can network 8 connection machines and debug 2 million lines of code for what I bid for this job?
Which is why he goes and gets the dinosaur embryos to sell, because he's like, fuck my boss.
It does make Nedry look like an idiot though, if he's like, I pitched a low price and now you're not paying me enough.
And that's because there's a few things that have been lost out in the translation from the novel to the film. Because in the novel, the same thing happens. And what John Hammond does, he does that classic boss thing of, oh, you've done that? Now why don't you do this? It's like, well, that's not in my job description. Do it anyway.
Yeah.
And in the novel, John Hammond like pressures Nedry into doing more work, and when Nedry's like, I don't want to, he starts bad-mouthing him and shit-stirring with his other clients to ruin his reputation, to force him into doing more work, and that's why he's like, fuck this guy. And again, you have hints of that in the movie where John Hammond's like, your Murray worries are none of my concern. Get it done. And he acts like a bit of a prick.
Yeah.
Like the instant he doesn't have to put on that public face, when he's talking to Alan Grant, he's trying to schmooze him, wine and dine him. Soon as that corporate facade's gone, he's in the actual inner workings of his park, he's a prick.
I really hate that man.
I think the later movies definitely forget that Richard Hammond...
John Hammond.
John Hammond.
It's because he's played by Richard Attenborough.
I knew when I'd said it, I'd mixed it up.
Yeah.
Richard Hammond would have been a very different character.
Would have been,
yes.
yes.
I think, the later films very much idolise him as like the creator.
Yeah.
And they always look back on him as being this amazing person who did this amazing thing.
And that's the thing. the movies themselves don't get the message of the movies, because John Hammond didn't invent the procedure or the technique to make dinosaurs. Dr. Wu did.
Yeah.
People always forget, like, John Hammond was just bankrolling it. He built the park, he paid for it, he didn't, but like he does that classic, like the Elon Musk thing of like inserting himself into the story, so that, you know, when he gets like the Jurassic World series, they're now lionizing him as like, he created Jurassic Park. It's like, he discovered. Well, it's like, no, he didn't. There's another guy discovered it, John Hammond, got his work, funded it, and then put his name on it.
Yeah.
And now he's now synonymous with the brand.
I mean, that's just the real world, isn't it?
It
There's
is.
so many inventions or things that, like, I mean, a good example of is like video games. When like there's always like one developer, or with films there's always one director, or one company, or one studio.
It always gets credited to this singular creative. It's like, no, it's the collaboration between hundreds of people. And that's like something we still struggle with now. Like there's a game that I really like, Metroid Dread. A company who worked on it did not get credited because they did 25% of the work on it, and that was deemed to be not enough of a contribution to get their names in the credit. So instead, anyone who worked on it is just the name of the company.
So what?
And this happened like last year, and it's like this company, and they said, oh, 25% of like, you know, the work is not enough to get in the credits. It's like there's a special thanks section where they thank people who had nothing to do with the game.
Like,
You can give them fucking credit.
Fat Fiend at the moment's 4 people. Which one of us do you not want credited?
Me. That would be the easiest way. And there are shades of that are present in the final film, but they're not as noticeable when you kind of ignore them, just the strength of like Richard Attenborough's performance, this kindly grandfatherly figure.
Yeah, he seems more misguided than outright a villain.
Yeah, he's like, you know, he's naive. Even though there are moments in the film where you see that facade slip, but for the most part, you remember him as being a nice guy. Like, you know, he's the granddad to the 2 kids, isn't it? And it's like, even that alone is kind of bad, right? That he's bringing kids to the dinosaur island. And
For the test as well.
And you can read that as him just being like, you know, a nice grandfather. It's like, I'm going to show you these wonders that, you know, have, like, you know, been extinct for millennia. Or, if you know, with that knowledge of him being a villain in the original source material, is that emotional manipulation?
Yeah, he wants to look like the grandfather.
Yeah, he's pointing it
It's
off.
a family business. He's brought his kids along.
Yeah,
Clearly,
because
it's obviously safe. I brought my kids with me.
that's the thing as well. You think after that first scene, how much time does he actually spend with his grandkids?
he just puts them in the car and then
Yeah, he basically like, you know, never interacts with them again.
So with all of this in mind, are we like backing justice for Nedry in this video then?
I'm seeing it more as like it's a moral grey area because yes, he does inadvertently get a bunch of people killed, but remember, John Hammond also killed a bunch of people. So another thing I think a lot of people miss when they're watching the film, or just don't remember, is that one of the first scenes you have in Jurassic Park is someone telling John Hammond to his face, someone died.
Yeah.
Straight up, someone died.
And he's pissy because the lawyer has to be involved,
Yeah,
isn't
he gets annoyed that a lawyer is involved because someone working in his park died. They got eaten by a dinosaur. One of his dinosaurs ate somebody, and he's now culpable in their death. And he ignores it, and he's mad that a lawyer is having to get involved because someone died. 'Cause he's going to interfere with the opening of his park.
He sends his apologies.
We are facing a $20 million lawsuit by the family of that worker, and you're telling me that Hammond can't even bother to see me?
And like, you know, when you got someone like that, it's like, okay, everyone here's a bit of a dick, except for Alan Grant, who just wanted to see some dinosaurs.
What about Samuel Jackson?
He dies.
But he wasn't a dick, was he?
He probably
As
beat
far
his
as we
wife
know.
off screen or something, we don't know. The character.
character.
The character, not Samuel L. Jackson.
I can't remember what was he. What was his role? Like, was he the security guy?
He's like, I think he works with Nedry in some capacity. Like, he understands the code. He talks about how like Nedry's code is a mess, and how you can figure it out. Which again would suggest that he probably deserves to be paid a little bit more. It's like when one guy is capable of coding your entire park, and his work is so advanced and so technically complicated, nobody else can figure it out. You should probably pay that dude a bit more.
Doesn't the girl end up doing it? Mm-hmm. See, if that film was made today, you know, Twitter oh, she can do everything, Mary Sue.
The thing is, though, they did the same series where in the very next film, someone uses gymnastics to beat a velociraptor. And that, to me, is like... And that's why I don't get the complaints, like the series went off the rails. It's like, do you remember Jurassic Park 2?
Hey, you!
Oh god,
We have Vince Vaughn kidnapping a baby T-Rex.
But then there's Jurassic Park 3 as well, where there's the huge fucking bird cage.
Oh, yeah.
Such a bizarre thing.
Don't forget the flashback, Alan. Like the velociraptor wearing a hat, and you're like, yeah. Why was this movie not about talking dinosaurs? I'd watch that movie.
Alan.
Well, did you hear the original concept for Jurassic Park 4 back in the day?
Human dinosaur hybrids.
Yeah, human dinosaur hybrids that are taken to Iraq for like fighting.
I love in that like Jurassic World that just they don't seem to know what Jurassic Park is, because there's something that happens in that film, and I don't know if there's a name for it or a term. They're probably on TV tropes somewhere, but it's a moment where a character has knowledge that they shouldn't have,
like self-awareness.
Yeah, but they never comment on it. So what I'm referring to is there's a bit in the first Jurassic World movie where the guy's wearing the original design on his t-shirt.
Yeah.
Where did you get that?
Oh, this? I got it on eBay. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
And they ask him, why are you wearing that? Is that not a bit in poor taste?
It was for 300.
Didn't occur to you maybe that's in poor taste?
The shirt? Yeah, no, it did. I understand people died. It was terrible, but...
Referencing the fact that people died. And it's like, well, no, that original park, that was legit.
That first park was legit. You know, I have a lot of respect for it. They didn't need these genetic hybrids. They just needed dinosaurs, real dinosaurs. That's kind of enough.
Please don't wear it again.
But remember, that park never opened. Nobody went there, and it was immediately covered up in the second film. So what that character's saying is the first movie was good. Like, that's knowledge that fans would have.
Yeah.
The knowledge he should have as someone who lives in that universe, he wouldn't know what Jurassic Park is, because it was an immediate failure. It never opened. It was immediately covered up by the government, and none of the merch was available for sale.
I would assume that maybe, as someone who worked there, because they are on the same island, they're on Isla Nublar, and you see the cars and stuff. Like, I mean, this is just me filling in a gap, a plot hole. It's not like,
But is there a name for that, of like where a character in a film like has knowledge that we, the audience, have, but they shouldn't have?
I guess just fourth wall knowledge. Like,
Maybe, yeah.
There will be a term.
So I know it's lampshading and stuff, like hanging and like acknowledging something as stupid, but just that character should not be talking like that, because that's not what Jurassic Park is in that universe.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park was a failed experiment where people died and nobody knew about it.
Or if they did, it would have been like this new story that broke, and it would have been... Because I would have thought that when they opened Jurassic World, maybe the history of it came out. Like, why would they hail John Hammond as being this genius hero unless people knew that he was part of the instrumental...
They've whitewashed his corporate history.
Yeah.
Because they're a giant company, and it's in their best interest to not have their dear former leader portrayed as an arsehole who got people killed, even though he 100% did. And like his first on-screen appearance is not caring that someone under his watch died.
Your investors, whom I represent, are deeply concerned. 48 hours from now, if they're not convinced, I'm not convinced. I'll shut you down, John.
In 48 hours, I'll be accepting your apology.
But yeah, can we talk about how Jurassic World just doesn't seem to care about dinosaurs?
Yeah, so we wanted to talk about this because what I do not understand why they made Jurassic World to like ape on the success, the nostalgia for Jurassic Park. And then the entirety of the plot is like no one cares about dinosaurs. It's like, yes they do. Like a plot point I don't understand is that we need to make new dinosaurs. People are getting bored of the dinosaurs. Like, no they're not. People still go to zoos, and we talked about this before we started recording. And I compared Jurassic World to like Disneyland. Of like, people don't go to Disneyland for the rides. They go because it's Disneyland. It's an experience you can't get anywhere else on Earth except like the other two Disneylands.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park is like that. It's like people aren't going to stop going to the only place on Earth with a dinosaur.
Like, have you ever thought about it from the perspective of a zoo? Like you said, people still go to zoos. Imagine if the zoo were like, we got to make a new animal. No one's coming for the lions anymore.
No, we need to get like new, more date. We need a
Indominus lion.
we need to start just putting more lions in.
Well, what do you reckon they could merge together to make a better animal? We've got the lion.
No, we want lion balls. Just like all together, like a big ball of lions, and just roll it around.
I'm thinking like gorilla. Well, I mean, we've had turbo gorilla before. Let's start with turbo gorilla.
No, do you know what I don't get about that? Like when they make the Indominus Rex, they make it, and one of its chief things. Fly comes in. It knows the pterodactyl's coming in. One of the chief things is that it can turn invisible.
And they don't know.
And they know that you can turn invisible, and it's like. That's not going to be very interesting for the audience, is it?
Well, no,
you won't be able to see the thing.
I think they didn't know that, right?
How do they not know?
They weren't aware that it could camouflage.
What purpose could we have for a dinosaur that can camouflage?
Cuttlefish genes were added to help her withstand an accelerated growth rate. Cuttlefish have chromatophores that allow the skin to change color.
It hid from thermal technology.
Really?
How? They've been observing it for weeks.
The idea, like, I think it's meant to be the idea, the same thing with the frogs, is that they used DNA from something else to get a look.
Yeah, I guess.
And didn't think about the consequences, which I think, honestly, what would have been cooler is if they'd built the dinosaur theme park, all the dinosaurs were in it, and instead of making a new dinosaur, it turned out that they'd fucked up the genetics. And the same way they were mutating to be able to have children, the first ones, they just started fucking up the dinosaurs. The dinosaurs just mutated and got worse and worse. That would have been cooler. Like, and then you see the Rex from the first films have to be in containment because it's gotten bigger and bigger and it's grown spikes and, you know, it can talk.
And it's just so strange to me that like the film seems to hate dinosaurs. Like, and they're obsessed with the idea that people don't find dinosaurs interesting. It's almost like they're not confident in the film premise itself. Like, again, they're trying to like draw attention, like, oh, no one likes dinosaurs anymore. Like, dinosaurs are a kind of hokey concept. Right? It's like, no, people love dinosaurs. People have always loved dinosaurs. People have been fascinated with dinosaurs for hundreds of years.
But
like,
people fascinated with dinosaurs now, and they're just bones.
Yeah, and that's the, but the film doesn't seem to. It's almost like it's not confident in its own premise, where it's like, oh yeah, dinosaurs kind of boring. We have to make a new, cooler dinosaur. It's like, no, people just want to see dinosaurs.
Also, I want to point out that the dinosaur they make is not. It's just a T-Rex.
It's just a bigger T-Rex.
Like, if you're gonna make a cooler dinosaur, you make a fucking flying raptor or something like that.
I also don't like the weird obsession they have with velociraptors. It's like the velociraptors are the Jack Sparrow of the Jurassic Park franchise.
Can we get that a T-shirt?
Well, they are, aren't they?
Oh my god! Someone out there. I want fan art of
Velociraptor dressed like Jack Sparrow,
yes.
or Jack Sparrow dressed like a Velociraptor. But yeah, it's like, because people don't know what I mean by that. It's like Jack Sparrow is a fun character in all of the movies where he plays like a side character, but then they keep putting him front and centre. It's the same with the Velociraptors. They were a cool addition to that first movie, because people don't know, like, Velociraptors are so well known in pop culture today.
Yeah.
They were an unknown thing. I think Velociraptors that they represented in the film didn't exist. Or it wasn't until, like, you know, a decade or so later they found like a bone that said, oh, these giant raptors did exist. They were like the size of chickens. So they basically invented this new dinosaur, their new dinosaur OC, for the film, and they were very popular, so they keep bringing them back. But every time they bring it to the point now where they have got like the intelligence of a child, where like you have like Chris Pratt for like the bond with the dinosaur.
I mean, I've if anyone's seen those films, Chris Pratt's magic. Like, there's no, he can hold his hand out and stop any dinosaur. He is magic.
Do you know what I love as well? That they talk constantly about we're going to learn to control these raptors, and the only person who has any sort of a bond with them, the first thing he says is, don't turn your back on you, they'll immediately attack you if you do that. And even the ones that he controls constantly try and attack him. So I love when they're chasing the Indominus Rex, and you have that like stupid ass shot of him like on the bike with all the Velociraptors. And he's like, okay, guys, let's do this. And the first thing the Velociraptors do is run away.
No, they betray him.
Yeah, they immediately.
The Indominus Rex is like, hey, guys, you want to join my side?
So, do you want to join Dinosaur Island? It's like, fuck yeah, Dinosaur Island.
And then those the people are like, oh my god, it must have raptor DNA. And everyone in the audience is like, yeah, we knew that. You love raptors. Did they put human DNA in it?
No.
Because I thought that was going to be the twist. The reason why it was so intelligent is because they put human DNA in.
They do clone a person in the second one, don't forget.
Oh yeah, and then in the third one, it's like the main character of it.
And she lets the dinosaurs out. They're just like me. And they start eating people.
God, Jurassic World trilogy, right? I didn't. Cause I thought the first one was fine.
It was fine.
Yeah, but the second two have made me think the first one is a masterpiece.
Yeah,
because those second two, shit.
The second one's kind of interesting when it turns into a horror movie out of nowhere, where you have like the dinosaur. Again, it's the thing of the dinosaur not acting like a dinosaur. When it's like being like a horror movie villain, where it's like Nosferatu through the window, even though it's an animal and it should just immediately rip her apart.
Yeah, and we've talked before about how stupid it is that they spent all this money and this stuff making this perfect killing machine, this dinosaur, and they want to sell it to the highest bidder. And the way you activate it is by pointing a laser at people.
It's so baffling. Like, look, like, how does it work? Well, you point this laser attached to this gun at the person, and then you tell the raptor to get them. It's like, why not just shoot them with the gun?
You've literally got a gun pointed at them. If you're in that position, shoot them.
It's like when they talk about how, oh yeah, we're going to be clearing out some trenches in Afghanistan with these velociraptors. Because admittedly, it'd be pretty fucking scary when you're on the battlefield and a velociraptor comes in. But the cost of training them, getting them over there, making them, because it costs like millions of dollars worth of like R&D just to get one of these things out. How is that any better than just a predator drone?
Well, also, is a velociraptor going to be better than a trained human soldier with a big gun?
Or a dog?
I mean, even so, but I'm just thinking of a human with a gun. Like, the human with a gun has obviously more, it's got more intelligence, it's got more...
they can run really, really fast, Brad.
Humans have bikes.
I also, as well, I think it's that thing of like a dinosaur, you can just shoot a dinosaur.
Yeah.
They're very scary. And that's the thing, one thing they're always very keen to show in those films is that the dinosaurs always get the drop on people. You never outright see a dinosaur like charge at someone with a gun. They always sneak up on them because they know that the dinosaur's not going to win.
Clever girl.
And you have like the soldier say, like the guy's like, can't wait to turn things into a war zone. It's like, well, the first thing I do is just immediately like shoot them. Like, yeah, they're going to get scared the first time one comes in. But is it really worth like $1 million of investment when you could just throw a hand grenade into like a cave?
Why? Is the Indominus bulletproof? Because like we've talked before about...
Probably it's so big. Just by sheer virtue of its size, it's probably bulletproof.
It was Gustave.
The bullet, yes.
Yeah, like we've talked before, there are animals in our world who are effectively bulletproof.
Yeah.
Why not give that to the dinosaur?
Well, they probably are a little bit just by virtue of their size. Like, you know, crocodiles, when they get to a certain size, are basically bulletproof for small arms. It's just... Well, I don't get it. It's like that bit of the auction when they're selling dinosaurs. Like, oh yeah, here's a dinosaur, 100 grand. I think the joke that I always make is Lionel Messi is worth 60 million quid. Like when Lionel Messi...
Somebody calculate how many dinosaurs you can get for Lionel Messi.
Lionel Messi... Like, so the joke I make is if I'm AC Milan, I know I'm fielding next season, and it's 8 velociraptors. Because they're cheaper than Lionel Messi.
Wait, so Lionel Messi is 60 million?
Yeah. I think they got to about 4 million for an Ankylosaurus. So Lionel Messi is worth like 22 dinosaurs.
Oh, you could have 2 squads.
Yeah, you could have an Ankylosaurus in the net and be like, hell yeah, let's go.
I think we talked about this before because like the joke was someone looking through the rule book like, it doesn't say we can't use a dinosaur.
Yeah, it'll never stop cracking me up, but yeah. Bro, I like talking about dinosaurs. You like talking about dinosaurs?
Yeah, yeah.
Like audience, if you like seeing us talk about dinosaurs, go check out our side channel. So I think we need to do a fact-themed focus on just dinosaurs and dinosaur movies.
Just dinosaurs.
Yeah, and like, if anyone who wants to see an extended cut of that video, whenever it gets... We have to make that at some point. We have extended cuts of side channel discussions on the Patreon, which you can also find link below.
Yeah.
Dinosaur. The annoying bit is I can't put the clip in. So like the Jurassic Park theme, that shit gets copyright flagged instantly.
Oh, the theme.
So
I guess it's very
I can't put the theme in.
Well, we've got like a minute or so left. I just want to once again mention that the song that Tom Hardy did, it's about the Jurassic Park movies, where he just goes through the movies one by one, and how the plot of them is exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's go to Dinosaur Island, look how beautiful they are, run away from them,
Yeah.
let's not go back to Dinosaur Island. And eventually, yeah, he gets to the point where he's talking about Jurassic Park 13, where they're in space and the dinosaurs are like robot dinosaurs.
See, the Jurassic Park movie should be like the Jaws movies, where it gets to the point where... Cause they already say like the dinosaurs have got like a personality and stuff. Like in the Jaws movies where they have like the guy's haunted by the shark, and they have a shot in like Jaws 4, he looks out the window and the shark's following a plane. I want that. I want it just like the dinosaurs have just grown smart and just hate people, and they're like following Chris Pratt around with a shotgun.
It's like Ghost Shark, but
Yeah.
Ghost Dinosaurs.
Make it. Do it. Dance.
Like Raptor Tornado. It's a Sharknado.
Yeah, combined Sharknado and Jurassic Park.